All right, thank you, Ty. I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get my slideshow started here. Well, talk about a tough act to follow. What a tremendous talk, and I've had personal experience as recent as just last January prior to COVID, working with CardioStart over in Tanzania, and definitely a rewarding experience. And so let me get into it. So I am proud to be the MSL for Essential Pharmaceuticals and Custodial HTK, but equally proud to be a practicing perfusionist and still very active. My email is listed there below if you have any questions about the earlier sessions today or about what I discussed this afternoon. Feel free to shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer them. So this is just a food for thought topic. First time I've ever presented this, but I've had perfusionists ask me about this technique in the past and thought it was worth mentioning. So I'm just going to talk today quickly about a novel approach to preserving the kidneys during thoracoabdominal aortic aneurysm repairs. So what's the dilemma? Why am I going to discuss this today? Well, the open repairs have definitely been on the decline. There's no secret that in 2003, the number of reported aneurysms repairs were open 27,000. And then 2016 numbers report half of that. So half of the open aneurysm repairs, and no secret why. Endovascular technology. It's clearly a safer and more efficient repair. And so naturally that is going to be the repair of choice. But what happens when it's not the safe repair? Then we get into these complex open repairs that often we're drawn into. And so, as we're all aware, when you're doing these open repairs, it's difficult and challenging to isolate all of these branches off of the thoracic aorta. And particularly when it includes the renal artery, it can be a challenge, particularly in protecting it. So how do we do that in the operating room? Well, we used to do this routinely in the 90s, provide them left heart bypass support. So typical cannulation in the left superior pulmonary vein, and then into the centrifugal head, likely to a heat exchanger standalone, and then back into the left femoral artery. But how do we protect the kidneys when they do isolate those kidneys and those are involved in the repair? And it can be easily done by utilizing like a 9 French Pruitt catheter, balloon catheter. I suspect that a octopus would work equally well, but if you don't have these type of Pruitt catheters, but I suspect you do. And you put them into the renal arteries and inflate them. And then deliver custodial HTK at 4 degrees centigrade for a 500 ml bolus, followed by a continuous infusion, right around 10 to 20 mLs per minute, just a gentle continuous perfusion. That initial flow rate's likely a retrograde flow rate, like right around 250 mils per minute. So it's only going to take you a couple of minutes to give that initial dose. And but how do you deliver it? Now you've got options. You can use a standalone cardioplegia delivery system. I would recommend that because likely you have a heat exchanger in the room already, so you can control the temperature easily, and you can control the rate very easily with a roller head. You could use standard IV tubing and a pressure bag, but there can be challenges with keeping that solution nice and cold prior to delivery, and the infusion rate can often be varied with that type of technology. So I would recommend using what you have in-house. So why use custodial HTK for these procedures? Well, the Shamba group in Italy describes this very well. They looked at prospectively HTK preserved kidneys versus their standard at the time, which was enhanced lactated ringers with mannitol and some methylprednisone. And you can see days after the operation an improvement in the GFR rate, which is a pretty good indicator of the function of the kidneys and actually a resulting of the preservation of those kidneys. And then this slide clearly needs little explanation, but when you're looking at all forms of AKI postoperatively, in the control group versus the custodial preserved kidneys, you can see that there was a significantly higher number of cases that the Ringers group produced versus the custodial HTK preserved kidneys. And then finally, this slide also does not need a whole lot of explanation, but as we heard today earlier in Dr. Gneiden's talk, long-term preservation does matter. And it's something that we don't often track very well in the cardiac realm, but it's a little easier for these kidney patients. But you can see that the patients not needing dialysis post-operatively months after the procedure is higher in the custodial HTK group, which again goes to the long-term effects of the preservation of the solution that they're using. And that, clearly is the histidine that is actually protecting those kidneys during the ischemic phase. So a quick discussion and overview. HTK provided optimal protection during ischemia when compared to the solutions that they were currently using. It's the same custodial HTK used in myocardial protection. It offered the same protection and decreased reperfusion injury. And it's really ideal for these type of infrequent procedures because it has a 1-year shelf life. So if you have it in-house and you have a plan, it makes it a whole lot stressful than when the surgeon comes to you one day, which, I've had calls, hey, my surgeon read this paper and wants to do this procedure. What should I do? Having a plan in place can make it a whole lot less stressful and help improve your outcomes. So, finishing up for the day. So what can Custodial do for you? Why are we here today? Because, this solution was developed by cardiac surgeons for cardiac surgery, plain and simple. And it is the perfect solution for single shot techniques, as we heard earlier today. And two subcategories that we don't often think about or mention is, these cold agglutinin patients and sickle cell patients. They're not everyday patients that we see and deal with, but if you have a plan in place to take care of these patients with myocardial preservation, we have a tried true protocol that is the standard around the country. I've been to many centers that use this protocol, and I have it available for those who may need help in those areas when they see those patients. It's also the gold standard for heart, liver, and kidney transplant preservation. It's been so in the United States for quite some time. It's very useful and often used in living donor preservation surgeries for kidney and liver. And as we saw, it's a great option for these ancillary organ preservation solutions. So just food for thought that, you can have this solution in-house and be ready for all comers and all the different types of complexities that we're now facing because, let's face it, the cases are getting more challenging. And I know I felt like I've been saying that my entire career, that the complexity of our cases keep getting ramped up, but it's true. They truly are. And so right before I sign off, I just want to remind everybody that Dr. Gneiden will be available at our booth today at 2:00. So if you have individualized questions from today's session, click the hyperlink that's in the booklet. You'll go directly to our room, and he'll answer any question, cardioplegia related. It doesn't have to be specifically HTK, even though he's probably one of the leaders in cardioplegia for HTK experience. So we look forward to seeing everybody there, and thank you again, guys, for the opportunity to talk to you today.
Thank you. And please go to their workshop. Again, we have these virtual workshops. Brian's going to show that one more time, hopefully, if he can pull it up, and basically show the scheduling of events today and tomorrow. So you can go to that website and go to a virtual booth, and it'll be just like you. Hopefully, it won't be just like you were at their exhibitor booth, but it'll be close enough. So thank you very much.